Hello, everyone, and this is going to be another important question that should be on plenty of Spurs fans' minds this summer. Would you spend 30 to 40 million euros on Mathys Tel? Spurs definitely aren't going to be paying that 60 million euro buy option. At least I hope they're not. And to be honest, I don't think there'd be much of a debate amongst us whether he would actually be worth that 60 million euros. But I imagine plenty of you guys would consider spending 30 to 40 million euros. And if you look at his last season, Mathys Tel, I don't think it was much of a failure of a loan signing. In fact, I thought he played very well in that away leg versus Frankfurt, one of our biggest games of the season. Yes, Dominic Solanke put away one of the biggest penalties I've ever seen a Spurs player put away, and he also worked his tail off in that game. But I think Mathys Tel showed the most quality, driving out his fullback, being a live wire. I really liked what he brought in that game. And there were some other games where he showed some real quality, has a silky touch, has some good sort of quality to his game. But what really kind of frustrated me with this last season was I don't really feel like Spurs were a clinical team. There were plenty of games where I felt like we left points on the board, in fact, lost games because it wasn't as much to do with the defense or the tactics or the midfield. Granted, there are issues there, but I felt like it was because Spurs just don't put away their chances on a consistent basis. And we need to show that we can be more of a clinical team if we actually do want to be much better in the Premier League this next season. So we should be looking to spend, in my opinion, around 60 to 80 million euros on a player that we know can create chances, of course, but then also put away their opportunities on a consistent basis, put away chances, the half chances, the quarter chances that can really punish teams so that we don't get punished on the other end of things like we saw plenty of times this last season. If you're going to be spending 30 to 40 million euros on someone like Mathys Tel, who in my opinion wasn't necessarily a very clinical player. In fact, even that most recent game against Brighton, he could have made it 2-0 for us by the end of the first half, and it could have been a different outcome. And you could argue there were other games where he had chances that he could have put away, and it could have been a different outcome. But we should be looking to save 30 to 40 million euros and actually pushing the boat out instead on more of a 60 to 80 million pound player when you already have Sonny going out the door as well that you need to replace. Bring in someone that could be available in the Premier League this summer. Plenty of people will laugh at these suggestions, but I imagine that we could perhaps lure one of them if you were to spend that much money. Perhaps on a Matoma, you could look at Mbuma or Wissa from Brentford. Eze, if he's still available. Mateusz Cunha, Jared Bowen, or Kudus could be on the market, even though I feel like they had a terrible this last season. I think we all usually rate those players. Semenyo as well from Bournemouth. These are the type of players from the Premier League, at least, that I think could help us be more of a clinical team, create chances, but also put away their chances on a consistent basis and take on the mantle that Sonny would be leaving behind. But let me know your thoughts. Would you be spending 30 to 40 million euros on Mathys Tel? I don't think I would.